did what they were supposed to do, disposing of the Brooklyn Nets despite Bam Adebayo being in foul trouble. But it was Kel'el Ware who stepped up in every way. Miami's now won 3 in a row, but Wes, I can't help but look ahead to Friday's matchup versus Charlotte as a real test for the Heat.
Ah, yes. Heat versus Hornets, the game we all had circled on our calendars before the season started.
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, welcome to Locked On Heat, your daily podcast on the Miami Heat, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Whether you're tuning in on YouTube or on your favorite podcast app, thanks so much for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Join the Cookie Gang and become an everydayer. That means subscribing, tuning in every day, Monday through Friday, and signing up for the Everydayer Club with the link in the show notes. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. I'm Wes Goldberg, host of Locked On NBA Daily and Real GM Radio. I'm here with David Ramil. Both of us are credentialed Heat Media members who cover this team every day. We've got credit cookies in the oven, listener questions to get to later in the show. We are recording this after the Heat's 126-110 win over the Brooklyn Nets. They take care of business, getting both wins at home against a tanking Nets team. But, David, it was a little dicey there for a moment. Swing moment of the game comes in the third quarter when Bam picks up his fourth and then his fifth foul within a matter of seconds. Score is tied at 72 after the Nets come back and tie the game with just under 7 minutes to go in the period. And then Kel'el Ware checks in. And you and I, in that very moment, we text each other. This is and we agreed, this is a big test for Kel'el. Spoiler alert, David, he passed. And he did it with flying colors. The Heat were plus 15 in the 16 minutes that Kel'el Ware played in the second half. The Heat were broken down in the parking lot, and Kel'el Ware showed up with the jumper cables, man. What a game from him.
Fantastic performance. Like, he really showed a lot of energy, a lot of emotion. Did it on both ends, too. The defense was phenomenal, but the offense was great. Looked confident, putting up shots from beyond the perimeter, but he was also the lob threat that we all knew he could be. He just provided such an insane boost. When Miami looked like, oh, this might be another disappointing loss, another one of those unexpected losses that they shouldn't have had or shouldn't have allowed at any point. And you know what? If not for Kel'el Ware, I don't know if they win this game. Like, he really did save Miami's night and potentially their season in the way that, you know, he provided the kind of boost that he does. You're not supposed to lose these games, and thanks to Ware, they don't.
It was his most impressive performance of the season, I thought.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it's close, right? I mean, this was the pop quiz, right? I mentioned it was a big test for Kel'el Ware. I mean, it was a pop quiz. Bam does not foul out of games. Literally has not fouled out of a game all season long. He did not foul out of this game because he didn't play hardly at all in the second half, in part because he didn't have to, because Kel'el got this extended run that we never really see from him. Kel'el plays 30 minutes in this game, and he makes the most out of it. And that was a tough moment for him, right? I thought Brooklyn was flatly outplaying Miami for about 10 or 15 minutes there, where they were just able to get to the rim over and over and over again. And so that's why I thought it was a really big test for Kel'el, too. This wasn't a matter of Brooklyn just making a bunch of threes, although Michael Porter Jr. did get hot there for a little bit of a stretch. But you're bound to get hot. When you take as many who cares, just shoulder shrug threes as you do as Michael Porter Jr. over the course of 2 games in Miami, you're going to, at some point, make a couple back-to-back. But anyway, with Kel'el, that was a tough moment for him because the defense was the problem. And then your best defender by a mile in Bam ends up in foul trouble. Silly foul trouble, by the way. And I thought that offensive foul, that fifth foul, was deserved. It was a little bit of a silly foul from him. Like, why put your shoulder down in that moment right after you picked up your fourth foul? Bam checks out. It's a big moment for Kel'el to basically do what Bam couldn't do over the last couple minutes and fix the defense, anchor a defense that had been leaking points at the rim. And that's what he does. We could talk about the block numbers, the offensive rebounds, the points, all that stuff. Like, all that stuff is impressive and very important to this game. But to me, being the anchor to defense, it starts there. He shut the faucet off on Brooklyn's rim attacks.
Yeah, they just they were completely discombobulated from that point forward. When he comes back in the game and plays with that kind of energy, they were kind of just missing something that they could go to. And yeah, they wound up chipping away at a lead that had grown to 26 points at some point. And they did wind up chipping at it with a slight run, but I think for the most part, they just didn't have a go-to move. They couldn't get to the rim. They felt his presence in a way that I don't know that we've seen from him at any other point this season. Like, there have been moments maybe, but not for as consistent as it was. Like, he was impactful for a long stretch, a deciding stretch of the game that he helped swing himself. That's like, to me, I've long used the definition of a superstar in that regard, and so I'm not going to use it for Khalil because it's obviously too soon. But like a guy who can consistently swing and individually swing a game on both ends of the floor, I think that's what defines it to me. And I think we saw the potential for that maybe with Kel'el Ware. I know that's kind of overstating things a little bit, but for him to be able to play the way he did on both sides really bodes well for his ability to kind of be impactful and have more impactful moments as the season winds down.
I'll rephrase a little bit what you said without projecting forward and running the risk of having to put such high expectations on this guy. He played like a superstar in this game.
He did.
And for people watching on YouTube, I'm putting up a graphic of, you could see the game flow chart when Kel'el Ware checks in. The game's tied right in the middle of the third quarter, and then that game flow, it's just a flood of red, which is good for the Miami Heat. The Nets are obviously in black. That's a crazy swing. It's such a great point, David. Like, that's the moment where, again, kind of going to the superstar impact that he had on this one night. This is what Nikola Jokic does. This is what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander does, right? It's why their plus minuses are always so out of whack and why they're always leading in the MVP race. It's what Giannis does, right? For years with Milwaukee. Right. It's kind of crazy to see what Kel'el Ware's swing impact was in this game. And without bearing the lead here, at the risk of bearing the lead here, I mean, Kel'el Ware has 7 blocks in this game. Unreal. 7 blocks, 11 rebounds, 4 of which were offensive rebounds. He has 5 steals. 7 blocks and 5 steals in this game. Never had been done in franchise history. And this is after he had 4 or 5 steals the first night on Tuesday night against Brooklyn. It was a dominating defensive performance, and as great as Bam is defensively, and he is better than Kel'el Ware defensively as a whole. So take what I'm about to say with that grain of salt in mind. But they haven't had like a fear factor defender like Kel'el. And I think that might be what we saw in that second half, where guys just didn't want to attack the rim because Kel'el Ware was standing there and they don't want to get their shot blocked, right? Bam will just not let you get to the rim. Kel'el will play that drop defense. Like, they're going to drop Kel'el by the basket. So you're going to get a runway to the rim. But what Kel'el can do is deter you and kind of make you do that Victor Wembanyama U-turn a little bit when he's playing like this.
Yeah, that's a great point. And to have that kind of combo really works well too. Like that, to have the guy who can guard 1 through 5 and make things so difficult. And then if you're able to get past him or somebody else along the perimeter, knowing now, like think about the last time they had a real shot blocker, Hassan Whiteside, right? But who was he playing with? Dion Waiters, Goran Dragic, guys. Yeah, Bam was his backup.
Bam came off the bench. Yeah.
But so I'm saying, like, the guys that he shared the floor with during his minutes, they were not perimeter defenders. They weren't solid in that way. And now you have some solid perimeter defenders in Andrew Wiggins and Davion Mitchell. And then you've got Bam Adebayo, who is just one of the best defenders in the league. And then on top of that, you've got a guy who is a real threat, a real deterrent, a guy who just changes the game because of his length and his impact. That really... it was phenomenal to see. I will say, look, there are parts of me watching this game and going, God, this Nets team really sucks. Like, especially in the fourth quarter where they had like 1 billion turnovers. And it's like, we don't really care. We've been in Miami for 4 days and it shows.
Right. Was it 5 turnovers in the first 3 or 4 minutes of this game? They were just like...
they were garbage. They were really garbage. That's not worth tanking. That's just, you guys got to stink as an NBA team, So, but to their credit, they did wind up putting together that run later on. And I thought maybe this might be a game that Miami let slip away because those have happened. But then Kel'el comes in there and changes the course completely. And individually, I think a lot of different guys stepped up over the course of the second half. But Ware's impact was so singular and so just you felt the magnitude of what he was able to do on the court in a way that I don't know that we've seen from him very often. And I don't know that we've seen from any player like that since, honestly, Jimmy Butler.
I have a feeling that he's going to get the game ball after this game. And I
You
also have
think?
a feeling that a few of these credit cookies that are almost ready might be headed his way too. We're going to do that next.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every second, every single night. From early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts, there's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into an even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want, rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits your read. You can mix spreads, total props to match how you see the slate playing out. There's so much from there. All of it's so great about that's what makes FanDuel such a great place to play. Go safe, go bold, right with the team you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. Today's episode is also brought to you by 5-Hour Energy. The 5-Hour Energy flavor draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like confetti, craze, fruity, rainbow, or cotton candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set. Flavors are ready. And I've got my pick for the 5-Hour Energy flavor draft. You've heard it. If you've been listening to the show regularly, you know that I'm a big fan of the cherry flavor. It's just a classic. You love that red. You know what you're getting as soon as you taste it, and it doesn't disappoint. It's bold, it's fresh, it's fruity, it's fantastic. But you know what? There's so many other ones to choose from. Strawberry banana has got a great smoothie-like flavor, really smooth, and it's just a combination of flavors that can't go wrong with. And then there's also a couple others there that I think a lot of have some strong consideration, sleepers, if you will. But at the end of the day, I've got to stick with cherry. It's the flavor for me. But maybe yours might be out there somewhere. Maybe you might have a different opinion. Let us know. 5-Hour Energy shots give you a boost with zero sugar, and they've got a lot of flavors already and even more flavor innovations planned. So get what you can. Find your new favorite flavor of 5-Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. We'll be right back.
Love Locked On Heat and want even more? Join the Locked On Heat Everydayer Club and take your fandom to the next level. Get an ad-free podcast feed, exclusive bonus episodes, and extended interviews that you won't hear anywhere else. Connect with us through the members-only Discord, and members of the All Access tier can even text us questions directly using the Subtext platform. Plus, unlock running game notes, alerts on news and rumors, and insider content built for the most diehard Heat fans. Sign up now at lockedonheat.supercast.com and become a true everydayer.
Cookie guy, cookie guy, cookie guy, cookie guy, stack them high like a cookie giant.
Well, David, it's another Miami Heat win, which means it's time for the tasty segment of Locked On Heat. It's time for credit cookies. As always, we have 10 to hand out. Where do you want to begin?
You know what? Let's not beat around the bush here. We've talked about it enough, but Kel'el Ware, I think, deserving of, in my opinion, 4 credit cookies. Kel'el Ware. I think it was tough. There are a lot of players who stepped up. It was really difficult because it's kind of hard to parse their impact and say, you know what, they put up some points, they put up some nice shots here and there to help Miami pull away. But the total game, the complete impact, nobody had it to the same degree as Kel'el Ware. 7 of floor, 1 of 2 from 3-point range. Didn't take a lot of free throws, but you know what? I think he'll get there. And he had 11 total rebounds and assists. Like you said, 5 steals, 7 blocks. Only 1 turnover in the night. And didn't get into foul trouble either for finishing with 16 points. That's a hell of a stat line. And it was the moments there that really defined a game where he showed aggression, confidence. He's a better player now. I don't think there's any way of hiding that or disputing it. Like, he's a better player now than he was earlier in the season.
Yep.
And he's by far a better player than the one he was last year. I still have questions about consistency, but overall, there's no denying that he has shown some real growth, and I really like where his trajectory is heading this season.
Jared Dubin, who writes the Last Night in Basketball newsletter, and I have him on my Real GM radio program all the time, he has this idea that, we see like crazy performances throughout a season, right? And you'll be like, that guy made 6 3-pointers? That's nuts. And then you see performances that are outlier performances still, but are still indicative of a talent level, right?
Right.
And Jared's point is that like it doesn't matter what, like, you have outlier performances from 3-point range because that's a variance thing. You could take as many shots as you want, and eventually, if you flip enough coins, you're gonna hit heads 7 times in a row, right? But there's certain things on a basketball court that variance does not account for. And even if it's an outlier performance, it's an outlier performance, but it does show what your overall talent level is. And only a player with your talent level could reach that kind of outlier performance. So that's sort of the idea that Jared talks about. That's what this game was for Kel'el Ware. Not anybody can have 7 blocks and 5 steals in a game.
No.
Not any, plus the 4 offensive rebounds, plus the 3-point shooting, plus all of that. There are the list of players who are capable of having the game that Ware just had is really short. It's a really short list, and I don't even want to name the names on that list because I don't want to do the hyperbole comparison thing. But you know the names I'm talking about, you know?
There's
Like,
one
the
in
list-
San Antonio, right? And other than that,
I love Stephon Castle. I agree, but he might be able to
he's
do
good.
this. He's really good. He could get 7 blocks in a game. But to your point, right? I mean, it's a crazy, crazy game. One of my favorite things early in this game for Kel'el, before the big sort of crossroad moments, is he made himself available for a ton of lobs. Herro was hitting him for lobs. Jaime was hitting him for lobs. He made himself available. That part of his game has gotten a lot more consistent. And then we have the second half takeover from him. And I think maybe my favorite sort of series from him was the Nets put up a shot. It misses. He hustles, pokes the offensive rebound away from one of the Brooklyn Nets players, and kind of pokes it towards Pelle Larsson. Larsson runs the floor. Ware keeps running the floor. And then Pelle throws it back to him for a lob, and the Heat go up 18 at that point. And I'm like, I think that was the game. That was in the start of the fourth quarter, and it was kind of the dagger to the game. And that might have been my favorite series, but I'd have to go back and watch it to really name it. But yeah, very deserving of the 4 credit cookies. Who's next?
let's go for another guy who came off the bench to have a big moment. Jaime Jaquez. Look, any other night, I think he would have been deserving of a lot more credit cookies. He did finish with 18 points, 6 of 6 from the line, 6 of 9 from the field, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, flirting with triple double type territory. Really, really solid, and he was just impactful in just being able to generate points during different stretches throughout the game. I loved his overall impact. The playmaking was there. He's shown just steady growth in that regard. He's been really, really good this season, and he's just been one of Miami's top 5 players all year long. Yeah. And I think tonight he certainly deserves it as well. So he gets 1 credit cookie, and that's where I feel kind of guilty about it. But I mean, somebody has to, because Kel'el had the monster game that he did, somebody has to struggle and not get as many cookies. And tonight it was Jaime.
The art of the credit cookie allotment it's an art. It's not a science, David. No. And sometimes it's unfair, right? But with Jaime, I'm glad you brought up the playmaking. That's the part that really stood out to me. It's the most assists he's had in a month. And I think it's not to say that he has been bad, from a playmaking perspective, but there was a stretch there about a month ago where he seemed to be really taking a leap in terms of a playmaker. And then Tyler Herro comes back, and they don't need him to do that stuff as much anymore. And that's okay, right? You'd rather have Herro back than Jaime, being overtasked with playmaking and scoring. But it's nice to see him be able to step into that, especially when Norm Powell is out. Still with this groin injury, so well deserving of the credit cookie. It's a big credit cookie.
Tyler Herro is next on my list. I gave him 2 credit cookies back in that starting lineup. Obviously, Miami's top scorer with 25 points. The shooting wasn't there, but he was really good in the painted area.
3-point shooting, you mean? Yeah.
3-point shooting. 2 of 7 from 3-point land. 9 of 16 good, overall. Yeah. 5 of 5 from the line. 4 rebounds, 5 assists. You know what? A really solid game. He's shown no rust. He looks really solid in that starting lineup. I love the chemistry with both Bam and with Kel'el. It's just been seamless. So I think we have questions ahead as far as what the starting lineup might be when Norm Powell eventually returns from injury. But for now, you ride the hot hand for as long as you've got it. So make the most of the opportunity, and Tyler certainly has.
We literally have a question from a listener from the Cookie Gang about that. I love the driving from Herro in this Nets little home and home series that they played. I mentioned it in the Tuesday postgame show when I gave Tyler Herro credit cookies. It was like his drive game has been on display in this game, and that's what you want to see from an all-star type of player. It's, hey, I don't need the 3-point shot. is Tyler Herro will tell you and told us after the game on Tuesday, he still feels like his 3-point shot isn't completely there since he's come back from injury, that he's still trying to find his rhythm from beyond the arc. But I love the fact that he's like, yeah, I'm not totally comfortable with my 3-ball right now, but let me just put my shoulder down and get to the basket. And he's playing with a level of physicality that I think we're reminded of, right? Like, this was part of the reason why he became an all-star last year, that he wasn't just a jump shooting player anymore. He became a legitimate 3-level scorer last year en route to his first career all-star game. And we're starting to see that now. And the fact that he can just sort of adjust the sliders, so to speak, when he's not feeling comfortable with the deep ball, and just be like, all right, I'll get to the rim, I'll get to the free throw line. I got this float game. He's got one of the best floaters in the NBA, and he's shown that this week. So,
Yeah,
well deserved.
I mean, I don't know if he's ever been asked by it before, but it's because the floater is so good. I think that's the kind of touch that's made him so great at tossing the lob too, because the arc and the trajectory of the pass is very, very similar.
Yep.
You're just kind of laying it up softly within the vicinity of the rim, and his timing is so excellent on that. Like, he is a really, really good lob
great call.
passer. I've got Bam Adebayo. On any other night, he'd probably get more than 2 credit cookies, but with the foul trouble, kind of took away from the impact. But he was in 25 minutes. He put up 21 points, 7 of 15 from the floor. The 3-point shot was not there tonight. And still, if you take away the 4 missed 3-point attempts, 7 of 11 from the floor, talk about a guy who was in his bag around the rim. He was phenomenal. Really soft touch there as well. And 8 trips to the free throw line. He connected on 7 of those to go with 7 rebounds, 2 assists. Really, really solid game from him. A steal and a block as well. 21
I'm glad
points.
you brought up Bam, because his night could get lost with the fact that he had foul trouble and then overshadowed by the big Kel'el Ware boost in the second half. But he was tremendous in the minutes that he played, very deserving of his credit cookies. He had a series in the third quarter before the foul trouble. He gets a putback, gets the ball again on the next Heat possession, takes Clowney into the post for 4 straight points after Brooklyn had taken a 4-point lead. You know, he was helping the Heat get back into this game before Ware came in and took it over. So very deserving of the cookies. I'm glad you shouted him out. What do we have? One more?
I've got one more left, and this was a tough one. I was waffling between Pelle Larsson, who finished with 16 points, had a really solid Larsson-esque type night, and the rookie, Kasparas Jakusionis. And you know what? I gave it to Kaz. I think he had the more impactful game. 11 points in total, so less than Pelle. 4 of 9 from the floor, 3 of 7 from 3-point range, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal. I just felt like his minutes were more impactful, and he's got such great potential, and I've really liked his development and continued growth over the course of the season. He's making the most. He played only 21 minutes, but he has a plus 20 in that stretch, and maybe that's because a lot of the time came alongside what Kel'el was having as his breakout there. But I really just liked his impact overall. I don't know.
Okay.
I could be convinced if it's a.
I would go Pella. I would go Pella on this one. I just thought he was better overall. Kaz had a couple of really dumb turnovers. Maybe that's just in the front of my head, in front of my mind right now. But he was good.
He had a couple big 3-point shots too.
He did. He made some really good threes early on. Like, they were just leaving him open early in this game. Like, I tweeted this during the Tuesday game when they were running the Bam and Ware minutes. I said I would really like them to run this lineup, the Bam Ware lineup, when they come in at the end of the first quarter and into the second quarter, with a few more floor spacers, right? Because on Tuesday it was Bam, Ware, I think Jaime, Fontecchio, and Kaz. And a lot of people replied to me and said, Kaz can shoot threes. And I'm like, yeah, Kaz could shoot threes, but there's a difference between making threes and being a floor spacer. Being a floor spacer means that the defense reacts to you as somebody who is a lights-out shooter and doesn't play off of you. And opponents are still playing off of Kaz. And you saw that in this game. The Nets just playing off of him in the first half. And Kaz was like, all right, you're going to leave me open. And he made 3 of his first 6 3-point attempts. I thought he was really strong in that regard. Also, little, side note here, Spo did listen to me on the postgame show, because then when we saw the Bam Ware minutes in the first half of this game on Thursday night, he did it with Herro also in the game, which was needing floor spacing. And Kaz. Kaz was in there too. All right.
Love you, Spo.
Thanks for listening, Spo. But Pella deserves some crumbs for sure. Good segment on the credit cookies. Coming up, we got some listener questions, including one about whether or not the Heat could build momentum from these games and get a much-needed win in Charlotte on the second night of a back-to-back. It's coming up next. Stay tuned.
Today's episode is brought to you by Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I'll be talking to you, companies like yours will have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now. Support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions do apply. Need to hire? Well, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. We'll be right back.
Let's go to our questions from the Cookie Gang. You can submit questions and hear yourself on the post-game show by joining the Everydayer Club and joining the All-Access tier for $15 a month, or sign up for a yearly subscription and save 17%. Tap the link in the show notes to check it out and learn more. This question comes from Pet, who writes in, I'm taking my nephew to his first NBA game in Charlotte. I got him a Heat shirt, but my question is, can we beat this Hornets team, and are they for real? Shout out to Pet for taking your nephew to his first NBA game. That's very exciting. I am glad that he's going to be representing the Heat in Charlotte. That Hornets crowd is really loving this team, and that is something that I think Heat fans, when we watch this game, because the Heat have not played the Hornets since the first month of the season, and this Hornets team now is not the Hornets team from the first month of the season. I think we might be a little surprised when we tune into the broadcast about how loud this Hornets crowd ends up being, because they are energized, and rightly so, by this team. It's going to be a tough environment, David.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, they finally have a good team to rally around. Like I mean, the way that they've been consistently winning of late, this is very, very different than the Hornets group that we've seen over the last few years, where it's always been kind of stuck in the mire and not really sure what their identity is.
Are you buying it?
I am, absolutely.
Me too.
I don't think you can help but buy it. Like, I was skeptical weeks ago, and then on Locked On NBA, I said, yeah, it's the Hornets. I mean, are they really going to win? And then you know what? They shut me up real quick because they kept winning. And I was like, at some point you watch them and like, you know what? They play defense.
I mean, it's
They
been
make smart plays.
35, 40 games of this. I mean, that's most of the season they've been this, right? And so that's a real stretch. I'm with you. You watch them put the beat down on the Celtics the other night.
Wow.
And like, their defense is on a straight. They don't have any great individual defenders, although Brandon Miller could be that
probably the best
at times. But and Musa Diabate is a game changer at their center position, just a hustle center who does a lot of different things, especially on the glass. They're on a string. They're coached really well by Charles Lee. They're the best defensive rebounding team in the league. So all this stuff, we've been on the margins for the Heat lately. And one of the margin wins that the Heat are trying to get on a nightly basis is on the offensive glass. That's going to be really hard in Charlotte on the second night of a back-to-back. So what's at stake in this one? The Heat right now, after this win, are 34-29. The Magic won also tonight, so nothing changes there in terms of the standings. The Magic obviously have the tiebreaker over the Heat because the Heat cannot beat the Magic for whatever reason. The Heat are still 8th, but with this win, just one loss back of the Sixers for 6th place. So they're right there. I mean, this is 6th place is right there for the taking. And then this game on Friday night in Charlotte is very important. Miami 2 games ahead of the Hornets in the loss column right now. A win would obviously add a game to that cushion, and it would secure the tiebreaker for the season because the first 2 times that these teams met, the Heat won those first 2 times. So getting this win, you would get the tiebreaker for the season if it comes to that. David, how do the Heat win this game against a Hornets team that is playing as well as anybody in the league right now, and, by the way, has the rest advantage and coming off of a really impressive win against the Celtics?
I don't know. I know it's going to be tough. I know they play in a style that feels like it's a major obstacle to what Miami is able to do, and so I don't know that Miami has a way to respond. My gut feeling is honestly that they just have to find a way to be more physical and kind of take Charlotte away from doing what they do well. Try to kind of just, I don't know, put their imprint on the defensive perimeter, try to shut down what they do from the 3-point range. Concanipolo, obviously a great shooter. He's kind of their most dangerous weapon from that regard. But Miller has some great range, and we know what Ball can do on occasion. So they're really good at this point in time. So from Miami's perspective, I just think that they have to find a way to play their game as effectively as possible and focus on what they can do well defensively. I think you're going to need another big night from Ware.
Yeah.
I don't know. Other than that, I'm not sure that
I think you're onto something with the physicality, right? Where Charlotte is a physical team. Like they're a big team. They're built around 6-7 wings with LaMelo and Knipple and Brandon Miller and Moussa Diabaté and Kalkbrenner in the middle are real, defensive type of centers who play with a lot of physicality, set really good screens. Bridges is a physical player, as we know, right? We've seen him enough within the division to know that. But I think you're not going to beat the Hornets on the boards, but you can't get crushed by them either, right? Because that was a big thing in that Celtics loss. When the Celtics lost them, they just didn't bring the effort on the glass, and Charlotte dominated in that category. You can't get dominated there. If you're not going to win the margin, you can't lose the margin by a lot. The one area where the Hornets have been and still are very vulnerable, they turn the ball over a lot.
Yeah.
And the Heat in these games against Brooklyn did a really nice job of not only forcing turnovers, but scoring off of those turnovers. The Heat are going to have to force turnovers, force steals, get blocked shots, all those things, and really run off of those turnovers and do a good job scoring efficiently off those turnovers. You can get a few swing points that way. That's the way I think you win this game if you're the Heat. Don't get beat on the margins by a lot. Hope that the Hornets don't go crazy from three-point range. Now, they did go crazy from three-point range in Boston, so maybe they kind of come back down to earth a little bit Friday night. We'll see. You just hope that Knipple or Brandon Miller just don't lose their minds from deep, and you don't get crushed there, and maybe you win the turnover battle, and maybe that's the path to a big win on the road.
To your point there, that statistic, any guess on how many turnovers they had against the Celtics? Just 4. Just 4. Yeah.
So they might be cleaning this up just in time. The Celtics also played like they didn't realize they had a game to play that night.
Maybe.
Like that was one of the lazier Celtics games I've seen in a long time. So I don't know what was going on with them in that one.
We'll see how Miami responds. This is going to be
hopefully not that way. Yeah. This is a must-watch game, and this is like on a night where Jason Tatum is coming back for the Boston Celtics more likely than not. And I think this is the must-watch game on the schedule. This could decide the Southeast Division. It could decide who ends up making the playoffs and who doesn't. Like, this is huge, not just for the 6th seed, by the way, but for teams trying to stay out of that 9-10 bracket part of the play-in where you have to win 2 games back-to-back to just make the playoffs. I mean, this is a game with massive playoff implications. Very excited to watch it. That'll do it for us today. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Heat so you get all of the latest episodes. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Join the Cookie Gang and get Locked On Heat ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonheat.supercast.com to join the club.